Hi, well, here I am again. I actually was starting to build a project, just a shop project. I just finished a bed for my daughter and I'm working on a bandsaw box, and I like to in between do things for the shop. It breaks the monotony and that sort of thing. Then I thought, well, I'm using my Tracksaw inside, and I might show you how I do that because I'm cutting down some bigger boards. I don't even have a pickup, so a lot of times I use an optimizer of some sort. I've got a couple that I use, and figure out what's a good cut that'll break. I have a Tahoe, so I can break the board down maybe by a couple feet or 3 feet. I can get the whole thing inside, no problem. And but I still got to break it down more later. I'm going to build a scrap bin right now that moves in and out. I have a small one, but you know, I have such a hard time getting rid of scrap, and I actually do probably for every project a couple 3-5 gallon buckets of scrap I give away to people that need kindling and that sort of thing, and then I turn around and need them for test, especially test pieces, so don't get rid of too much of it. I have the dewalt Tracksaw. I got it on eBay, and I got a really good deal. It's a battery one, which, since I'm just a hobbyist, the battery one is fine. I'm sure probably if you were a pro, you would want electric, so you don't have to deal with batteries. But this works great for me. Most of the time I do the work out in my carport when it comes to sheet goods, but I live in Oregon, so we don't have too bad of weather. But when we do, when it's blustery rain, where it's blowing, I've got to keep the garage doors shut. And I have a heater, and I've kind of diverted my furnace into here for the winter. And so I've got to cut some of it in here, and I'll do it right on my finishing table. And I've made this little apparatus to work. It's not perfect, but it actually gets the job done. And in a minute I'll stop and I'll move this thing around to kind of show you. But I have my straight edge on one side, and that way I can lay my boards in and I know they're straight at one corner, or at one side. And then I use a square, just a regular square, and with that square, I can get this square, and then I use the regular dewalt clamps to clamp the bottom on the table, and I mean it's perfect at that point. And I've got some of this Owens Corning. It's like a half or 3/4 inch foam that I put down. And then I just cut across, and it works really well. This outside part I raise up, and then I clamp it to the table. I've got the board clamped here because one of the things that since this is kind of free floating across the table, the board can move underneath, so I need to clamp the board. And normally outside I don't, because this fits down, and it's got this non-skid stuff underneath, and it doesn't do it. I absolutely love this saw, and I'm sure I would love the Festool. I got this on eBay for a really good deal, and since I've had it, I really, when it comes to breaking down my pieces of plywood and even making the smaller pieces, I like using this better because, number one, dust collection is way better than my table saw, and so it does very little dust in here, and it's very accurate, nice clean blade. It's got anti-kickback. It has a riving knife in it. It's every bit as good as a table saw. So I'm getting this stuff ready to go, and like I said, in a minute I'll go ahead and show you a cut. And I need to, where did I put my glasses? Okay, I'm going to put it on hold because I set my glasses down when I went to get the camera, so hold on. Okay, well that took a few minutes to find where I laid down my glasses. But anyway, so a pretty simple operation. Really nice cut too. I mean, that's a glue cut. So anyway, yeah, I love this thing. It is one of my favorite tools anymore. So that's pretty much it. Out of one of those, it's a 28-volt battery. Gosh, I've never actually ran out. Two came with it in a charger, and I never cut enough at one time. But I've gone through 2 sheets of a bunch of cutting and been just fine. So I don't know. I just alternate the use of the batteries and kind of go from there. But I've got several pieces of track, and there's actually this thing that comes with this Tracksaw. It's a squaring device, and it slides in the track, and then it screws on the bottom, and you can angle it. But you know, I don't think it's all that accurate. I use it to get close, and then I use a square. I just like it better. There's also an attachment that I have for doing a router, and it works pretty good. I've used it a few times, and for a dado cut across something that it's too hard to get. It's a bigger board, too hard to get on the router table. If that's the case, then I just use this track and an attachment that fits on it. And you can dial and adjust it and make it bigger dados and smaller dados, whatever you want. So anyway, that's that. Okay, I'll hopefully I'm not forgetting something, because this is kind of my Tracksaw, my dewalt Tracksaw thing. This Tracksaw is called a DC 9280, and get the clamps. Even though it's got the non-skid, you just feel better. And when I show you this table, I'll kind of show you. I've done something on both sides so that it's pretty easy. And when I take this off, that piece of wood I cut just comes right out. So I've kind of made a bridge, and that's why I said you can't. You've got to clamp the board to the edge, to the straight edge. Otherwise, it'll move on you. So, okay, we'll see how this works. I'm not very good at moving the camera around and talking at the same time, but see what I do underneath is I just made this long straight edge that I use the third hands to get it up to the level I want it, and then I just go ahead and clamp it, and there you can see one of the dewalt clamps. And it's pretty straight, and it doesn't matter to me. I've doubled up right here, so I can cut through this board no problem, and I still have a good straight edge. I use MDF under there, so it doesn't warp or anything. Now the other side is just a landing spot for it, and I just kind of built up a thing that I can clamp to the table, and it works pretty good. And sometimes I have to put little spacers in, even though, like this is a spacer here, even though I had it set kind of for 3/4, but it just depends on what. I just started using this this stuff here, and works pretty good. So that is it.